enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, good afternoon. There you are. It's 1 o'clock on Sunday, the 17th of May, and this is the weekend on GB News. And have we got an amazing show for you? Yeah, talking about yesterday, an estimated 50,000 people attended the Unite the Kingdom rally as 4,000 police officers enforced a sterile zone to prevent them clashing with rival pro-Palestinian demonstrators also marching in the capital, with the Met now confirming 43 arrests were made in respect to that public order operation. And on the politics front, they don't go away, do they? Wes Streeting ramps up the pressure on Keir Starmer, calling Brexit a catastrophic mistake as he positions himself for a potential leadership contest.
Proper contest with the best candidates on the field, and I'll be standing.
As the Prime Minister reportedly discusses an orderly timetable, good luck with that, for his departure, senior Labour figures are now openly battling over who takes the party and the country.
An extraordinary time yet again with another party in charge of our country and more battles over leadership. And guess what's back at the front of the in-tray? Brexit.
See is more law enforcement on the beaches of France. That is a choice that we want to see made and we are willing to invest in.
Yeah, that was the Home Secretary 3 weeks ago. Now, French politicians have admitted that 660 million UK-funded deal will make little difference, saying they have no solution to stop the migrant boat crossings. Oh yeah, and let's talk about kids and school, shall we? Education expert Lord Sewell says some families are actively colluding with children, enabling them to bunk off, playing video games with them and even bringing their food when they should be in the classroom. Asking, are parents to blame for Britain's education crisis? And yeah, it's a big football weekend. Spanish legend Xabi Alonso has been confirmed as the new Chelsea manager on a long-term contract, hoping to lead the club back to contention among the biggest honours in the game. It's a bagger, isn't it? That's for sure. Bulgaria took home the win in last night's Eurovision contest, with the UK coming. Well, you knew this was going to happen. It was terrible, dead last. We got a point from Ukraine. I think that was a sympathy vote. Stay tuned to see how we embarrassed ourselves on the world stage again. I'm Tom Neeson, and this is The Weekend. Bangaranga, banger. Come on, Chopper, join in. Come on, bangaranga, bangaranga. It's so annoying when the political Supremo has better moves than me. But you know what that actually means, don't you?
I think it's a Jamaican patois for something, as far as I know.
Go on, Chopper.
I don't know more than this.
Oh, intriguing. We will get it out of you by the end of the day, don't worry. But yeah, obviously Chopper's going to be in the studio with me talking through all things politics and possibly a bit more demonstrating his moves, because he's got that beat, hasn't he? I mean, come on. That's really nice. Cheer me up, no end. But funny enough, it's not all about Chopper and his moves, although it could well be. It's about you. And I know you'll think that it's all about you should be my middle name now. I've seen that post, don't worry about it. But you're right, because, yeah, I don't mind it having my middle name. My middle name is actually Maureen, by the way. But I don't mind having it as my middle name, because it is all about you. Without the viewers, GB News, none of the programmes would be here. So, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Get in touch, join the conversation, gbnews.com/your say, or scan that QR code. Now, we are mopping up yesterday's march, because I still think that's important, and I still want to talk about some of the people that haven't been arrested, including the chap in Whitechapel threatening to chop Jewish people's heads off, or the one actually on the march with that lovely banner threatening to hang Jews. Nobody around him seemed to have a problem with that, which in my mind makes them complicit. So we're talking about all of that, so I want you to get involved. We have, obviously, also all the politics, which is really, really interesting, I promise you. Get involved, let's have a nice natter. It's a Sunday afternoon. All of that coming up after the latest news headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Dawn, thank you and good afternoon. Your headlines at 1:04. Andy Burnham and Wes Streeting could both seek to reverse Brexit if they were elected Labour Party leader. It comes after Wes Streeting confirmed he would stand to replace Sir Keir Starmer. In his speech yesterday, the former Health Secretary said Britain should rejoin the EU.
The biggest economic opportunity we have is on our doorstep. We need a new special relationship with the EU because Britain's future lies with Europe and one day, back in the European Union.
However, Lisa Nandy has questioned Mr Streeting's timing. Speaking to Camilla Tominey this morning, the Culture Secretary suggested it's not what the country wants.
I watched what Wes had to say quite carefully yesterday, and he's a friend of mine and deserves to be taken seriously. But I think it is a bit odd to respond to the absolute roar of noise that we heard last Thursday. We got an absolute kicking at the polls, and it hurt, and it still hurts. And to respond to that with re-entering the European Union seems to me to be a fundamental misreading of what people are asking us for.
Mr Streeting's policy offer could also be read as a direct challenge to Mr Burnham, who's previously expressed support for rejoining the EU. However, he may wish to avoid directly speaking about the issue as he bids to become Labour's candidate in the upcoming Makerfield by-election. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch accused Labour of focusing on their own drama.
Labour are now 100% focused on themselves and not on the country. Of course, Andy Burnham is doing this to challenge Keir Starmer. Why else has someone given up their seat specifically for this purpose? And all the while, I tell you what Labour are talking about. They're not talking about the economy. You look at the spike, in gilt yields in the market. They're not talking about bringing down welfare. They're not talking about defence. This is just their own personal psychodrama.
The Met Police are investigating alleged hate crimes at both major protests in London yesterday, as officers are still searching for 7 suspects from the pro-Palestine Nakba Day rally. An estimated 60,000 people attended the Unite the Kingdom rally in Parliament Square, which called for clampdowns on migration and political change. Barriers were put up to separate it from the pro-Palestine rally, which finished in Waterloo Place. A total of 43 arrests were made. 20 were linked to the Unite the Kingdom protest, while 12 were affiliated with the Nakba protest. A record 4,000 officers were deployed to deal with the gatherings at an estimated cost of £4.5 million. 4 people have been killed in Russia overnight after Ukraine unleashed its biggest attack on Moscow in over a year. Russia's defence ministry said by midday more than 1,000 Ukrainian drones had been downed over the country in the past 24 hours. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky had vowed retribution for Russia's strikes on Kyiv on Friday. Iran has announced plans to charge fees to use the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian Parliament's National Security Committee, Ibrahim Azizi, announced the mechanism to control traffic through the key international shipping lane will be unveiled very soon. It comes as Donald Trump said Chinese President Xi Jinping had agreed Tehran must reopen the Strait of Hormuz, though Beijing gave no indication it would weigh in. The US president had been meeting with Xi for talks in the Chinese capital. The World Health Organization has declared a public health emergency over an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. There are around 246 suspected cases and 80 deaths reported so far, though the World Health Organization chief said there are significant uncertainties to the true number of infected persons and the geographic spread. The virus is highly contagious and spreads through bodily fluids and can also be caught from infected animals. There are no approved drugs or vaccines for the current strain of the deadly virus, which is thought to have a fatality rate of 50%. Police are calling for urgent discussions after an officer was injured as football fans celebrated in Scotland. Bottles and other missiles were thrown at police as thousands of Celtic fans celebrated the club's 5th successive Scottish Premiership title win on the streets of Glasgow. Police Scotland said they were met with unacceptable violence and hostility when they went into the crowd to assist with a medical emergency. Bulgaria won big last night at the Eurovision Song Contest, with 27-year-old Dara coming first place with her dance anthem Bangaranga. Bulgaria beat Israel by 173 points to be crowned the winner. The UK, however, continued its run of disastrous results. Look Mum, No Computers song, 1, 2, 3, took last place with 1 solitary point from the Ukrainian jury. Chelsea have announced the appointment of Xabi Alonso as their manager on a 4-year deal, with his role beginning on the 1st of July. Alonso is currently considered to be one of the best young managers in the world. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Dawn.
Thank you very much. I'm reading all your messages already, honestly. OK, Robert. Good afternoon, Robert. It is afternoon, isn't it? Oh, give over, Dawn, as if Eurovision was all dross with a few decent songs, lyrics and a dearth of instruments being played. Also, please, learn how to say the simple word new, as in not new. I can't help the way I talk. I'm sorry, love. You know, you just have to get used to it. It's all I've ever known. But hello to everybody who's getting in touch. Gillian and Lisa and Adam and Jackie, all of you saying hello. It's lovely. Thank you so much. gbnews.com/yoursay, scan the QR code. You know how it works. OK, let's get straight into it, shall we? I've got to try and be serious now, sorry. But yeah, this is annoying, right? OK, and don't ever go at me for the numbers either. These are the official numbers. I know that official numbers can sometimes be used in the wrong way. Scotland Yard estimated 60,000 people attend. See, Scotland Yard, not me. Estimated 60,000 people attended the United Kingdom rally yesterday in Parliament Square, which called for clampdowns on migration and political change. Fair point. Barriers were put up to separate it from the pro-Palestinian Nakba Day rally, which finished in Waterloo Place. The Met Police said 43 arrests were made across both events, and adding they are proceeded largely without significant incident. A record 4,000 officers were deployed to deal with the gatherings, and an estimated 4.5 million cost to the taxpayers. Now, you can debate the official numbers all you want, by the way. I mean, people will say lots of things, but they're the ones issued by the Met Police. So I'm just giving you those, right? Stop nagging me already. I can get nagging at home. OK, now, joining me now is founder of Tel Mama, Fayez Mughal. Fayez, good to see you. Thank you so much. Fayez, in the great scheme of things, considering how many people were marching through London yesterday, it went fairly peacefully.
I think it went fairly peacefully. Obviously, with the volume that we are talking about, 60,000, again, you know, we have a caveat on that figure, but the fact of the matter is what the police have said, 60,000. There were a limited number of arrests, and that's really positive to hear that there was largely a peaceful demonstration taking place.
Yeah, to find it was largely peaceful, apart from some, again, on the Nakba rally itself. Some of the signs we saw were once again appalling, and to my knowledge, the people carrying, in particular, probably the most offensive sign, have not been arrested. There were also chants to shoot Tommy Robinson in the neck, just like Charlie Kirk, the American campaigner who was obviously assassinated. So there were lots of hate on one side in particular. Again, we're talking about the marchers, we're not talking about what we heard on stage. We're talking about the people that were marching on both sides. There were lots of very hate-filled chants on, it has to be said, the Nakba rally.
Well, I think there have been a number of issues with these rallies, particularly around the pro-Palestinian demonstrations. We know that there's been fear within Jewish communities. So there is a history of these kind of statements, sadly, that has been part of them. I have to take a slight difference of opinion here. There have been arrests in the Unite the Kingdom rally. There were arrests. And I have to also say, we're being fair on this, that some, as you said, and I understand you've made a difference between the speakers and the demonstration, but some of the...
Oh, Fayez, I think we've lost you there. OK, let's hope we can get Fayez back there, because it is something I would really like to talk about today. I mean, and there's a great column been written today. If we go back to the other day, where Starmer put out, just before, the day before these marches took place, right? That made it Friday afternoon, Dawn. Yes, it did. And remember, it was that soft focus, sort of like him standing in front of that posh marble fireplace going, you know, we are fighting for the soul of this country. We will not let people hate, divide us, etc., etc. You know, many of the people, you know, right-wing thugs on the Unite the Kingdom are protest, the organisers, the people that have been invited, etc., etc., etc. So all of that. Now, the question I want to ask is, given some of the hate we saw on that Nakba rally, and we did, and you can Google it yourselves and you can have a look, why didn't Starmer put out a video about the hate coming from the far left as well? I mean, he's not here to answer that question. He's obviously got other things on his plate, like running the country. So I want to read the campaign. Oh, we got Fayez back? We have got Fayez. Fayez, we've got you back, I think. Thank you very much, Fayez. Right, you were saying...
Yes, I was saying basically that, yes, the Nakba rally has the pro-Palestinian demonstration sadly have a history where we know that Jewish communities have been fearful and frightened of what's been taking place. Absolutely right. I would also say, given the Unite the Kingdom rally, there were a small number of arrests, but also we can't take a view that these are individuals from all of them from the far right. That's not true. There are people who have issues around migration that turned up. We need to listen to them. We need to accept them. The slight caveat I would have is that some of the speakers on that rally, in the Unite the Kingdom rally, said some atrocious things.
Yes,
and I think on both sides,
more, to be honest.
Yeah, and on both sides, frankly, we need to have a sense that the tone needs to be reduced a bit, particularly around the speakers. But I take your point. The pro-Palestinian demonstrations have a poor history. I also take your point that we cannot just label Unite the Kingdom individuals turning up to that rally as being far right. That's not true. A lot of these people have realistic concerns that we need to listen to. So I hope that gives some clarity in this.
Yeah, Fayez, why do you think we are still the Prime Minister, even after all we've been through in the last few years, after obviously the horrors of the 7th of October, why is our Prime Minister still obsessed with tarring people that are concerned about controlling our borders, concerned about illegal migration, concerned about the British culture, concerned about supporting the British flag, the English flag? Why is he still obsessed with the far right in this country when we know, and we've had this conversation before, Fayez, that sort of like 75 to 80% of the threat in this country is not from far right terrorism or activism, it is from radical Islam?
I think that's, again, a really fair point. The reality is this government will not really talk about Islamist extremism. I've said this repeatedly. We've said this repeatedly. The reality is that's where a realistic threat is coming from. And I think, again, with the Prime Minister saying, actually, these are all individuals from the far right, not just is a smear on the individuals who have these legitimate concerns. But the reality is actually the Prime Minister is pushing all these people into one corner and labeling them, but yet is not actually calling out a significant problem of Islamist extremism. And again, I'm a Muslim. I'm not here to smear people of my own faith. The majority of Muslims are not Islamists, but he's not calling out Islamist extremism and yet calling and lumping in all the demonstrators as, quote, being a risk or threat or being from the far right. And that's unfair.
Fayez, let's leave it there. I'm sorry we lost you. I'd love to chat to you a bit longer. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Fayez Mughal there, who is founder of Tell Mama. Thank you so much for joining us. OK, well, let's know what you think about that one. I know lots of you will, lots of you did. I know we spoke about it at length yesterday, but I think it's still important, given that the Met Police have released those arrest figures, and they are tiny compared to the amount of people that were there. They are absolutely tiny. But now let's go to America to see if we can learn anything from some of the racial division and the hatred and the marches that have happened there recently. See if we can learn anything for the UK. So let's talk now to journalist Ernest Owens. Ernest, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I've got no idea what the time is where you are, but it's probably some God-forsaken time. Ernest, what did you make of what you saw on the streets of London yesterday?
You know, it's complicated, right? It's, for largely in American terms, that would be considered a peaceful protest. So the fact that there
no one was
wasn't
shot for a start.
Exactly. There you go. There was no shootings. There wasn't much blood. There wasn't seeming to be excessive police tear gassing people. So, you know, for the most part, I would give it a solid B+. Okay. But I do think the rhetoric that was used could have incited violence for sure. And some of the problems that I think do egg on some of those posters and signs, you can't separate what's going on the stage with what takes place in the crowd. Because what is being said on that stage inspires some of the things that we saw in those signs and what made some people want to egg on controversy. And I think that's something that really stood out to me, was that, you know, the rhetoric was matching some of what we were seeing in the crowd as far as signage goes. Fortunately, the people that was in the crowd weren't as, you know, extreme as what was said, but more rallies like this, that could happen. You know, we've seen this in the United States. You know, it starts off with, oh, it's just people going to hear peacefully what is being said on stage, until people become indoctrinated, and you see more and more of that building up. And then next thing you know, you have a problem on your hands. So, you know, I would just say I would take it with caution. I think, you know, this is how it starts, you know, but overall, I think, you know, there needs to be some conversations about what type of people are being platformed and what kind of misinformation or disinformation are they sharing.
Just to be clear, Ernest, are you talking about both marches here, about the pro-Palestinian Nakba March and the Unite the Kingdom March?
You know, I would say more so, I mean, I would say both to a certain degree. I mean, both, but I think really for me, the Unite the Kingdom rally in particular, a lot of the things that was shared on that stage, I think, you know, can encourage a level of vitriol that do provoke type of political division that creates that counter. You know, it's unite the kingdom, but it's like, is that really uniting language? You know, it's a little bit of xenophobia, not a little bit, a lot of xenophobia, exclusion, which then allows people to then go, hey, what are we doing here? Like signs like smash the far right, you know, which was at the other march, you know, that type of polarization, I think, can lead to future incidents of violence. It starts off again with people expressing opinions, but
Ernest, while I've got you quickly, just because we are running out of time, unfortunately, one of the chants we heard on the Nakba rally, you as an American will probably find more offensive. Shoot him in the neck like Charlie Kirk. That was one of the things that they were chanting. Many people were chanting, not just one or two. There's quite a few people chanting that on the Nakba rally yesterday. And obviously, Charlie Kirk was an American. We know what happened to him, the assassination, etc., etc. What did you make of that chant? Talking about Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, no, totally. I think it's absurd. I think these are the problems, right? Is that it starts off with words and then words become actions. And when you have people making chants like that, it doesn't go away. I mean, there were people saying, hang Mike Pence, that was our vice president. He did not get hanged, but there were physical attempts to go after him in that type of manner, to the point that, you know, he clearly wasn't coming back to the White House. Even years later, when Trump ran again, Trump had to get a new VP. You know, people shouldn't take this lightly. It starts off, like I said, with words and become action. So that is deeply offensive, and I definitely think that it will fuel more.
Well, let's hope we don't see any more violence. It was quite peaceful as far as it went yesterday. Ernest, thank you so much for joining us. Journalist Ernest Owens in America, with maybe a warning from across the pond, but let me know what you think. I mean, it went both marches, remarkably peaceful, very few arrests, but there were some deeply, deeply offensive chants and signs. OK, now I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show.
What we want to see is more law enforcement on the beaches of France. That is a choice that we want to see made, and we are willing to invest in.
Well, that was the Home Secretary 3 weeks ago. Now, French politicians have, I mean, you know, stand by your beds, folks, you won't be shocked. French politicians have admitted that that £660 million UK-funded deal will make very little difference, saying they have no solution to stop the migrant boat crossings. Well, I'm colourmy shocked. But after the break, Wes Streeting ramps up the pressure on Keir Starmer, calling Brexit a catastrophic mistake as he positions himself for a potential leadership contest. Exciting, isn't it? All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very, very soon.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again. To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Sorry. Well, I say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company, because it is all about you. I know I do say that a lot, but Adam's got in touch. I heard no deeply offensive chants at the United Kingdom march yesterday. I saw much unity, stating a fact as the well-known chant of English people with self-respect. Da, 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 da. So lots of people were there at the march yesterday. You were in the crowd. All you did was sort of like, you know, give each other cuddles, basically, by the sound of it. You're having a nice time. Kids were there, pensions were there. Any case, let's talk about politics, shall we? Because somebody has to. Wes Streeting has fired the starting gun on a potential Labour leadership contest. We knew he was going to, didn't we? Confirming he will stand to replace Sir Keir Starmer.
We need a proper contest with the best candidates on the field, and I'll be standing.
And meanwhile, the former Health Secretary has put Europe back at the centre of Labour's agenda, calling Brexit a catastrophic mistake.
The biggest economic opportunity we have is on our doorstep. We need a new special relationship with the EU, because Britain's future lies with Europe and one day, back in the European Union.
Oh, just shoot me in the ear, 10 years on. And he's not alone. Allies of Andy Burnham say he also wants Britain to rejoin the EU, reopening Labour's Brexit divide as the battle for the party's future intensified. Well, I mean, that's in the future. Obviously now, because he's standing in a reform area, he's not mentioning that at all. But hey, so someone has got all the details on this, as well as some pretty damn fine moves, you have to admit. Here's political editor Christopher Hope. Mr. Hope, I'm not going to ask you to dance just yet. We'll do that at the end. Where are we? What do we make of it all today? My head's hurting.
Well, there are two worlds, aren't there, Dawn? There's the Prime Minister's world. He's still Prime Minister. He is called Sir Keir Starmer. Let's make that clear. He's spending the weekend, we're told, thinking about a timetable to leave office in reports. His team say nothing has changed. There's no candidate. There's no leadership contest. So nothing's happened. Nothing's changed.
Which is also true.
On. So we'll be. The PM hasn't answered questions from journalists for a week. Last time was last Monday, when that didn't go very well, did it, in terms of quelling the nerves on the backbenches. He'll carry on running the country. He may be looking towards some form of legacy planning, like we had with Theresa May when she planned her exit in 2019. She committed us to the net zero targets without a vote in Parliament ever, by the way, worth noting. But with maybe a defence announcement from the Prime Minister. There should be some news next week, this coming week, from the Chancellor maybe, about the fuel duty not going up in August and some measures. So that carries on. But the real drama is away from number 10. It's the politics. And we had yesterday Wes Streeting making some interesting points about Brexit. Now, why did he do that? Because I think he wants to put the kind of focus on Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham's got his own problems. Now, Andy Burnham last night wasn't very keen to talk about Brexit because he knows that the seat he's trying to win the support of the voters is 2/3 vote Brexit, the last referendum. So he can't be seen as a Remainer in that seat. Here's what he told ITN last night.
Are you in favour of rejoining the European Union?
I've said in the long term there is a case for that, but I'm not advocating that in this by-election. In fact, what I am saying is focus now domestically. Britain has got to focus very much on the here and now.
OK, focus now domestically, because that's all he can say, because he can't really say, I'm going to be a Remainer, we're going back into the European Union, like he obviously believes.
Because that would be a lie.
Well, let's take away the word lie out of that conversation. It would be disastrous electorally, locally.
And a lie.
So that's the problem he's got there. But of course, if he does win that by-election, and it could be June 18th or June 25th, he then has to try and convince a Remain-friendly membership base that he's their guy, despite not saying the same thing maybe in Makerfield. Lisa Nandy, she's the Culture Secretary. She has some words to say today with our colleague Camilla Tominey.
I watched what Wes had to say quite carefully yesterday, and he's a friend of mine and deserves to be taken seriously. But I think it is a bit odd to respond to the absolute roar of noise that we heard last Thursday. We got an absolute kicking at the polls, and it hurt, and it still hurts. And to respond to that with re-entering the European Union seems to me to be a fundamental misreading of what people are asking us for.
Lisa Nandy, of course, the Wigan MP, and neighbouring the one which Andy Burnham wants to win, knows all about Brexit and why that's a difficult conversation to have where she is from. Someone enjoying all this is the Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch.
Labour are now 100% focused on themselves and not on the country. Of course, Andy Burnham is doing this to challenge Keir Starmer. Why else has someone given up their seat specifically for this purpose? And all the while, I tell you what Labour are talking about. They're not talking about the economy. You look at the spike, in gilt yields in the market. They're not talking about bringing down welfare. They're not talking about defence. This is just their own personal psychodrama.
So Brexit rears its head. Now, what's interesting, Dawn, about this is that if Andy Burnham wins Makerfield against a two-thirds majority Leave votes at the last referendum, that will embolden, I think, a Burnham-led administration to be much more front-footed about taking on Brexit and unwinding that vote, because they'll say, well, if you can win in Makerfield against the head, let's do it. It will put Brexit, if you believe Brexit is a thing, further at risk if Burnham wins in Makerfield. Reform know all this, and they're trying to select their candidate as we speak. The Tories might have one too, we expect. They've got their own by-election issue to worry about in Scotland, which is where the Stephen Flynn seat. So it is all happening. And, of course, you've got cabinet ministers going there to fight for Andy Burnham to win the seat, which, if he wins, he then could well challenge the Prime Minister. It is many layers of chess being played.
It is. It's like three-dimensional chess on drugs.
What we don't know, really, is what is Manchesterism. That is the term used by Andy Burnham. The Guardian says it is the politics of making people feel rooted and invested in their local areas, which is localism. I mean, we're so used to these, what do these words mean? Yeah, so that's making people feel rooted and invested in their local areas. That's exactly what localism was meant by Boris Johnson. So what we don't really know what Andy Burnham's sell is. We know it's lots of spending money, tax increases. He's often nationalise various elements of the industries.
Right, OK, Chopper, thank you so much. And if you'd just like to do a little bit of a wriggle to see me out, yay, love that. The Chopper shuffle there. He's got the moves, that boy. For now, Christopher, thank you so much. OK, now let's talk quickly to co-founder even, Dawn, of Scientists for EU, Mike Galsworthy. Mike, I feel like I want to literally shoot myself this morning. 10 years on from Brexit, I'm still talking about it.
It's not going away in a hurry, is it? But,
no, it's really not.
I think that's because, I mean, Europe is family, and it has been for centuries and centuries and centuries. And we've always had arguments on the continent, whether it's King Henry VIII and the Pope, or whether it's battles over ground or royal families intermixing and things like that. So the drama with Europe in the UK is never going to go away. But of course, it's coming to a head at the moment because 10 years on from Brexit, most people think it's gone badly. And so then there's the big question of, do we act all really English and look at our feet and say, let's never talk about that again? Or do the politicians start saying, right, well, if the public have changed their mind, we'd better catch up with that pretty quick because we're well behind politically where public opinion currently is, especially actually given Putin, given Trump, given Xi and all the political dynamics indicating that America's not really leading where our values are. And you've got countries like, our Commonwealth partner, Canada, talking about middle countries need to get together, and Europe is where it should be clustered and should be leading. And I think we need to be part of that. I mean, hey, look, with the UK, we are in Europe, and we are also the head, if you will, of the Commonwealth. And we've got this brilliant place where we can be bringing it together. So I think lots of really productive things can come out of this if it's done well, if the public are included in all the conversations, and if everything is done in a sensible, open, structured, inclusive way.
Yeah, this is the bit, the last lot of words you said, structured, open, inclusive way. Now, at the moment, we have Wes Streeting saying, if we put it in a manifesto, that'd be OK. But, I mean, basically, you can't do that. You're going to either have to have another referendum, oh, my God, or maybe a general election. What do you reckon, another referendum?
I think that before we go jumping to referendums, the point is does the EU even want to negotiate with us? So,
Well, they're not
what
going to
you
be
need
nice.
to
They're not
put-
going to play nice, are they, to be fair?
Oh, they do play nice, but they're
You're right.
tough cookies as well. I mean, we set them up to be tough cookies when we were involved. We built them to be a powerful negotiating engine. But so what they need to do is, like, if you want to prove that you're serious about this, it goes in a manifesto. And you don't say rejoin in the manifesto, because that's pretty presumptive. You say, if we get re-elected to power, we would open negotiations, accession negotiations. And if you, for example, have the Greens, Lib Dems, Labour, Plaid, SNP, maybe even Tories by that stage, who knows, it says, OK, we would open talks to see what they've got. Then you could say, look, the public's given us permission to engage with you, but we're not saying we're definitely going back because we want to see the shape of your deal. It would be bizarre to say, we aim to go in regardless. You have to say, we would like permission to negotiate with you. We're serious about it, but you also have to be serious with what you can offer us.
OK, Mike, thank you so much. I can't believe, oh, my God. Mike Galsworthy, thank you so much, co-founder of Scientists for
We're all in the same place. I've been doing this for 10 years, so...
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Oh, Mike, thank you so much for at least having a sense of humour about the whole thing as well. OK, and let me know what you think about that. Do you want another referendum? Do you trust the politicians we currently have to negotiate with the EU? Or are you happy where you are at the moment? Let me know, gbnews.com/your say. You know how it goes. Yeah, or you can scan the QR code thingy as well. I will read as many out as I possibly can, because the show is all about you, really is. Now, there's lots more coming up as well. Education expert Lord Sewell says some families are actively colluding with their kids to help them bunk off school. So, not for the first time, I'm asking, are parents to blame for their kids' education crisis? All of that and much, much more to come. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is, of course, GB News, and we are Britain's main news channel. #1, in fact. See you soon.
Hello. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's still rather cool out there with frequent showers moving through, but there are signs of it warming up as we head through next week. Now, having a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure to the north of Scotland, and this weather front is very slow moving, only gradually pushing its way northwards. Otherwise, westerly winds drawing in showers. So across the north of Scotland into Orkney, that's where we have longer spells of rain. Otherwise, most frequent showers affecting Scotland and Northern Ireland, still on the heavy side, perhaps with the odd rumble of thunder, and that couldn't be ruled out even across central parts of England. Brighter spells developing later on, but otherwise it is still rather cool for the time of year. 13 in the north, highs of 17 to the far southeast. As we go through Sunday evening, those showers persisting across much of Scotland, still holding on to some outbreaks of rain across Orkney and pushing into Shetland. Most frequent showers still persisting across Northern Ireland, perhaps even merging to give some longer spells of rain. And that's a similar story as we go through this evening across much of England and Wales. As we head through Sunday evening, those showers emerging into longer spells of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to progress their way eastwards, so turning damp and unsettled overnight across northwestern parts of England into Wales and the southwest of England. Some of this rain could actually turn quite heavy. Towards the east, that's where we hold on to the clearest skies, and across Scotland and Northern Ireland, depending on the cloud cover, we could see a touch of frost, but also some mist and fog to start Monday morning. That does leave a bright start across the east of England, but to the west, we have the showery outbreak of rain pushing its way eastwards, eventually into the Midlands. Then it breaks up, and we'll see more showers developing across Scotland later, drier across Northern Ireland, hazier sunshine coming through, but still rather cool for the time of year, highs of 16 in the south.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. And by the way, I do wear my glasses. I need to read stuff. It's not a sort of come hither sort of thing, because I know that just wouldn't work either. Any case, we have got lots to get through, so I'll just shut up, shall I? Leading education expert Lil Tour has issued an urgent warning to parents, accusing some of them, including in helping their kids skip school. It comes as new figures reveal that 89 million school days were lost to absence last year alone. Lil Tour says too many children are being allowed to stay home playing online video games instead of attending lesson. His research also found, we've heard this before, that white working class children, in particular boys from low income families, are among the most disadvantaged in the education system. So I love this lady, she's amazing. Joining me now is head teacher LVS Ascot, Christine Cunliffe. Christine, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. Always good to talk to you. Children have to get their backsides to school is the headline on this piece in the Express. And I can't believe, Christine, I mean, given that I'm the age I am and what my parents would have done, that parents are actually sitting playing computer games with their kids, feeding them pizza at home when they should be in school. What's going on?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, we know, as you just said, what would your parents do if that was us when we were kids? There was no option. Off you go. Show up on time and do your best. Otherwise, you're in trouble. So there's only so much schools can do to ensure that the learning environment is the right one. And it's down to parents to get their children to school. And you just mentioned white working class boys. 36% of working white class boys, who are on free school meals, they're only achieving the national expectations for English and maths compared to the 65% national average. So there's a real crisis there. There's so much persistent absence. We've got 176,000 pupils have missed over 50% of education in the last year, and 1.34 million pupils are classed as being persistent in absence in school, which is nearly 20% of the school population. It has to change, because for every day missed, it's been proven by the DfE that around £750 of lower future earnings is lost for every day missed in school. What more can you say?
It's just appalling. And Christine, we all know, certainly if you come from sort of like a poor working class background, regardless of the colour of your skin, whether you're black or white or whatever, if you come from that poor working class background, the way out of that trap is education. It always has been. It always should be. And so why don't we talk about it more? Why aren't we hammering it home to parents that, you know, get your kids to school? It's going to save them.
I think, you know, we've just gone through 5 extraordinary years. I mean, COVID was a bit of a turning point. There's actually 89 million school days lost every year now, compared to 29 fewer lost days before COVID. It's become a kind of a culture. It's become kind of a trend. And I think, you know, we might be seeing that in the workplace too. I'm guessing, but I think attitudes have changed as well. So, you know, it's very easy to have a comfy day at home, isn't it? Very easy. It's harder to get into the workplace, get into school and get some work done.
Yeah. Christine, we've run out of time, unfortunately. I could talk to you for hours on this subject, because you are always the voice of common sense. Christine Cunliffe, thank you, and that is head teacher at LVS in Ascot. Thank you so much, Christine, for joining us. As always, let me know what you think about that one, because, I mean, lots of you will. I mean, if I didn't go to school, I'd get a clip round here, to be honest with you, and that's why I always turn up at work, much to some of you's annoyance, but hey, can't help that. OK, shall we talk Eurovision? Bangaranga, that lady there. Bulgaria took home the win in last night's Eurovision Song Contest, with the UK coming in, well, who's surprised, last. Stay tuned to see how we embarrassed ourselves on the world stage. We're getting quite good at that, aren't we? But if you are in search of some holiday sun, you can go, well, she's from Bulgaria. Bulgaria is probably quite nice. Here's a forecast for some of those top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Plenty of settled weather over the coming days for much of Europe as generally high pressure builds. Sunny spells across the Canaries through the rest of the weekend into Monday. On the sunny side and dry across much of Spain and Portugal. Showers, though, some of these heavy across France, northern Italy, but drier further south and across into Greece and Turkey as well. Temperatures rising 25, 26 Celsius. Plenty of sunshine to come over the coming days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I got scammed over a period of about 18 months. I met the family. I actually met my scammer, met the family, friends. They were all part of the scam.
Did you get a sense, Lynn, that you were being scammed? And if you did, when did that happen?
Not until I went to the police. It took a long time. I think I was groomed over a period of months. So anything he said, I believed. It's very hard to explain how these people can get into your head. You know, only anyone that's been scammed will ever understand. You know.
Mm. And how helpful were police when you first went to them?
Police didn't really want to know, if I'm honest. They said, just forget about it. I said, no. I said, I'm not forgetting about it. I said, you've stolen my money. I said, I want my money back. I said, I said, I'll go and do something myself. But at the time, I was just so, I don't know what I would have done. Anyway, they changed their minds and we set up a sting with them over a 3-month period.
Wow. How much money had this man taken from you, Lynn?
About £100,000.
Gosh.
Over the period of 18 months.
Yeah.
And what would he be saying to you in order to get that money from you?
In fact, I offered him money 8 months into it because I believed that I'd lost something. I was made to believe that I've lost something, so I was offering him money, and he refused at first. And then it just got into I was chasing the money back, and it just one thing after another. It just led on to another.
GB News, the People's Channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Well, did you do it last night? I bet you did, didn't you? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, staying up late and watching the Eurovision Song Contest. Maybe even having a party. Back in the day, we used to have a drink from each country, but now there's so many of them, you couldn't make it halfway through, could you? OK, well, Bulgaria won. I think it's for the first time they've ever won. It's the 70th Eurovision Song Contest, with singer Dara taking victory in Vienna with her song Bangaranga, marking Bulgaria. Yeah, it is Bulgaria's. I thought I knew that bit. Bulgaria's first ever Eurovision win. Let's have a listen to her. But I thought she was pretty good. It's pretty catchy, isn't it? And she's certainly a very attractive, bouncy young lady, it has to be said. The UK, however, continued its run of disastrous results. Look Mum No Computers song, Eins, Zwei, Drei, took last place with 1 solitary point from the Ukrainian jury, and that's probably because, they want to say thank you for us helping them out. Let's also just remind ourselves, brace yourself, what the UK's entry was like. Yes, OK. Joining me now is podcast host Get Gossy with Grossy, Simon Gross. Simon, good to see you. Thank you so much. I mean, you probably had no sleep, up all night watching the contest. Well, what do you make of it? What do you make of the winner? What do you make of where we came? Are we surprised by any of it?
Dawn, it's lovely to see you as always. I've got to say, I'm a big fan of Eurovision. I have been since I was brought up, like 2-3 year old. Been watching it forever. Last night's show, I've got to say, was bland. It was boring. I was actually thinking, I'm going to go to bed in a minute, and that's just not like me when it comes to Eurovision. I love Eurovision. And I just think that the E in Eurovision has gone. Where is the fun? Where is the spark? Where is the camp? It all just feels a bit strained and also very, I think, just very weird. People wearing strange masks, coming dressed on as cuddly toys. I mean, we've always been a bit outrageous with Eurovision, but last night just felt very bland for me.
I mean, the act that won, Bulgaria, it's the first time they've won it, so congratulations to them. And it was quite catchy, and I thought the dance routine was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great song. It feels like a Bhangra track, which I like Bhangra music, for Bulgaria. And it just feels quite an odd, it's very catchy. But then you could also say that about our UK entry. Paul Sam Battle got 1 point. But what I do think he did get right last night, Dawn, obviously we got 1 point. He got the audience to echo his song, which is quite a clever thing to do. Not many of them did that. Eurovision's all about getting people involved and getting crowd audience participation, and he did do that. So in some ways, Sam's song was catchy, but unfortunately, 1 point.
Oh, OK. Well, I can't say I was surprised. Simon, we've run out of time, unfortunately. Thank you so much. That's podcast host Get Gossy with Grossy, Simon Gross. Thank you so much. And by the way, the winner, the wonderful Christopher Hope, has said Bangaranga is a Jamaican patois word that means a beautiful kind of disorder. So I think that, thank you. Christopher is just a great man. Anyway, there's loads more to come. All of that after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good afternoon and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have showers and longer spells of rain as we head into the new week. Initially cool, but it does look like there's signs of things warming up. So out there at the moment, we have got the low pressure situated to the north, bringing this slow-moving weather front, and then westerly winds drawing in further showers as we go through this evening and overnight. That band of rain will continue to clear its way northwards across Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, for most of us, it's a showery picture. More longer spells of rain initially across Northern Ireland into northwestern England, then running down into Wales and the southwest. Some of this rain could be heavy at times. Clearest and driest conditions to the east, and across Scotland and Northern Ireland, if we see any clear skies, that's where temperatures could fall. A touch of frost possible, but also a few mist and fog patches. So to start Monday morning, it's a much brighter start out there across northern parts of Scotland with plenty of sunshine. To the south of that, though, showery outbreaks of rain. Across Northern Ireland, some brightness further towards the south and west, but a few showers here. Otherwise, across much of England and Wales, especially western areas, that's where we have showery outbreaks of rain, a bright but fresh start in the east. As we head through the morning, this band of rain will continue to push its way eastwards. It breaks up and then we'll start to see more showers developing as we head through the afternoon, even into parts of Scotland, turning drier across Northern Ireland, but hazy sunshine ahead of the next frontal system. Temperatures ranging from up to 14 to possibly 16 or 17 in the south and east. So we'll see showers continuing as we go through Monday evening. They'll start pushing their way north and eastwards and then replaced by wet and windy conditions as we go overnight and into Tuesday. So outbreaks of rain for some of us, followed by showers, similar theme onto Wednesday, but otherwise temperatures will be rising.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's a totally tax-free £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to be won. Cash to spend on anything you like. That's like having over £6,000 extra to spend each month for a whole year. You could spend it on a bucket list holiday, treats for all of the family, or just save it for a rainy day. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, well, jolly good afternoon to you. It's 2 o'clock on Sunday, the 17th of May, and this is the weekend on GB News. Thank you so much for your company. Huge hour coming up. An estimated 60,000 people attended the Unite the Kingdom rally as 4,000 police officers enforced a sterile zone to prevent them clashing with rival pro-Palestinian demonstrators also marching in the capital. We have now the Met Police's official arrest figures, and that is 43 arrests were made in respect to public order operation across both marches, and including other arrests as well. Meanwhile, Wes Streeting, yes, him again, ramps up the pressure on Keir Starmer, calling Brexit a catastrophic mistake as he positions himself for the potential leadership contest.
Proper contest with the best candidates on the field, and I'll be standing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister reportedly discusses an orderly timetable for his departure. Senior Labour figures are now openly battling over who takes the party and the country.
And unbelievably, 10 years after Britain voted to leave the European Union, it's back on the table. What happens next? Are we going back towards the European Union?
Is more law enforcement on the beaches of France. That is a choice that we want to see made and we are willing to invest in.
Well, that was the Home Secretary just 3 weeks ago. Now, French politicians have admitted that a £660 million UK-funded deal will make absolutely no difference at all, saying they have no solution to stop the migrant boat crossings. And let's talk footy, shall we? Huge weekend. Spanish legend Xabi Alonso has confirmed as the new Chelsea manager on a long-term contract, hoping to lead the club back to contention among the big honours in the game. Meanwhile, Bulgaria took home the win in last night's Eurovision Stop It Chopper. In last night's Eurovision contest, with the UK coming in, well, dead last. Who's surprised by that? Stay tuned to see how we embarrass ourselves once again on the world stage. It's just... Hello, I'm Dawn Newsom and this is The Weekend. Chopper and I are going to go raving very soon. OK, but yeah, I know I'm going to say it, so don't all shout at me at once. This show is nothing without you and your views, so get them coming in if you want, because we've got our flight booked to Ibiza, haven't we, Chopper?
We have. Let's do it.
We're going to go and do the bangaranga. You know, talk... So you really... Oh, my God. You really... So, Chopper, where did you learn to dance like this, Christopher?
Well, I've got a long and varied history before I joined GB News.
Oh, hi.
We both have.
Well, thank you very much. Yours looks far more interesting than mine, it has to be said. We'll be discussing that later on in the show, obviously. But it's all about you, so do get in touch, please. It's a Sunday lunchtime. Let's just have a natter. gbnews.com/Chaussee. Join in the conversation. And if you want to do the marks out of 10 for Chopper's dancing, we are entering in for Strictly Come Dancing. By the way, that is officially going to happen now.
Vote for me.
Vote for him. Please do get in touch. In any case, all of that. It's a Sunday afternoon, come on. In any case, all the serious political stuff coming up with Mr. Christopher Hope after the news headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Dawn, thank you and good afternoon. It's 3 minutes past 2. These are your headlines. Andy Burnham and Wes Streeting could both seek to rejoin the European Union if they were elected Labour Party leader. It comes after Wes Streeting confirmed he would stand to replace Sir Keir Starmer. In his speech yesterday, the former Health Secretary said Britain's future lies with Europe.
The biggest economic opportunity we have is on our doorstep. We need a new special relationship with the EU because Britain's future lies with Europe and one day, back in the European Union.
However, Lisa Nandy questioned Mr Streeting's timing. Speaking to Camilla Tominey this morning, the Culture Secretary suggested it's not what the country wants.
I watched what Wes had to say quite carefully yesterday, and he's a friend of mine and deserves to be taken seriously. But I think it is a bit odd to respond to the absolute roar of noise that we heard last Thursday. We got an absolute kicking at the polls, and it hurt, and it still hurts. And to respond to that with re-entering the European Union seems to me to be a fundamental misreading of what people are asking us for.
Mr Streeting's policy offer could also be read as a direct challenge to Mr Burnham, who's previously expressed support for rejoining the EU. However, he may wish to avoid directly speaking about the issue as he bids to become Labour's candidate in the upcoming Makerfield by-election. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch accused Labour of focusing on their own drama.
Labour are now 100% focused on themselves and not on the country. Of course, Andy Burnham is doing this to challenge Keir Starmer. Why else has someone given up their seat specifically for this purpose? And all the while, I tell you what Labour are talking about. They're not talking about the economy. You look at the spike, in gilt yields in the market. They're not talking about bringing down welfare. They're not talking about defence. This is just their own personal psychodrama.
The Met Police have said 43 arrests were made during 2 London rival protests yesterday, including 11 hate crime-related offences. 20 people detained were linked with the Unite the Kingdom protest, while 12 were associated with a pro-Palestine Nakba Day march. A record 4,000 officers were deployed to deal with the gatherings at an estimated cost of £4.5 million. Iran has announced plans to charge fees to use the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian Parliament's National Security Committee, Abraham Azizi, announced the mechanism to control traffic through the key international shipping lane will be unveiled soon. It comes as Donald Trump said Chinese President Xi Jinping had agreed Tehran must reopen the strait, though Beijing gave no indication that it would weigh in. The US president had been meeting with Xi for talks in the Chinese capital. The World Health Organization has declared a public health emergency over an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. There are around 246 suspected cases and 80 deaths reported so far, though the World Health Organization chief said there are significant uncertainties to the true number of people infected and the geographic spread. The virus is highly contagious and spreads through bodily fluids and can also be caught from infected animals. There are no approved drugs or vaccines for the current strain of the deadly virus, which is thought to have a fatality rate of 50%. Police are calling for urgent discussions after an officer was injured at a football fan celebrated in Scotland. Bottles and other missiles were thrown at police as thousands of Celtic fans celebrated the club's fifth successive Scottish Premiership title win on the streets of Glasgow. Police Scotland said they were met with unacceptable violence and hostility when they went into the crowd to assist with a medical emergency. The Church of Scotland has officially apologised for its historic support and involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. At a meeting of the General Assembly in Edinburgh, delegates from Scotland's largest religious denomination were joined by ministers from Nigeria, Ghana and Jamaica. The Church of Scotland said they're sorry for having collectively and individually contributed to and benefited from the enslavement of people of African descent. Bulgaria won big last night at the Eurovision Song Contest, with 27-year-old Dara coming first place with her dance anthem Bangaranga. Bulgaria beat Israel by 173 points to be crowned the winner. The UK, however, continued its run of disastrous results. Look Mum, No Computer's song, 1, 2, 3, took last place with one solitary point from the Ukrainian jury. The government is looking into a potential bid for the north of England to host the Olympic and Paralympic Games in the 2040s. It's part of its ambition to drive generation in towns and cities through sport. If it did succeed, it would be the first Games staged in Britain since London 2012. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Dawn.
Thank you very much, Sophia. The very, very naughty team in the gallery behind us today are trying to encourage Sophia to do the Bangaranga dance, and believe me, she would absolutely smash it as well. Talking of which, lots of you getting in touch about the wonderful Chopper. Mrs. Angry Brazier said, I didn't think he had it in him. Karen said, go Chopper. Meanwhile, Oren says, Nisa and Chopper on fire today with chemistry. You two are going to need to get a cold shower afterward. There's an interesting thought, I can tell you. In any case, do keep them coming in as well, won't you? Because we have got a packed hour coming up, so I better get on with it. Now, we're talking about the marches from yesterday. I know it was yesterday, but we've got a lot of mopping up to do, and the police today officially issued the arrest figures, which were minimal considering the amount of people that were on the streets. Scotland Yard estimate 60,000 people attended the United Kingdom rally. Their figures, not mine, by the way, in Parliament Square, which called for clampdowns on migration and political change. Barriers were put up to separate it from the pro-Palestine Nakba Day rally, which also finished in Waterloo Place. The Met said 43 arrests were made across both events, and also some unconnected arrests, not connected to either march. So when you consider how many thousands of people were actually on the streets of London, I think that's pretty good, to be honest with you. The Met Police added that they proceeded largely without significant incident. A record 4,000 officers were deployed, though, to deal with the gatherings at an estimated cost of £4.5 million of taxpayers' money. So, given those stats that we've just read out, let's talk to co-founder of the Together Association, Alan Miller. Alan, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. It does sound like it might be the policing, or it might just be that people are just wanting their voices heard without getting arrested. What do you make of yesterday, how it all went?
Well, firstly, Don, I think that I attended United Kingdom, and I thought it was very much like a festival or a jubilee or like the Olympics in spirit. The public were out. There were lots of people from all different age groups and backgrounds. It was very family oriented. Older people, younger people, people from different parts of the country and from different backgrounds. I had talked to a lot of people about what their thoughts were, why they were there. And what kept coming up, Dawn, is people are, on the one hand, they want to show that they love Britain, they're proud to fly flags, they want to show that they're happy to celebrate that. It was a spirit of celebration. They're also very, very furious with the Prime Minister, with Keir Starmer, and the government that often are smearing them, in their opinion, calling them names, calling them things like far right and racist, because they've got concerns about history and culture and tradition, and also about borders, and wanting to be able to say that they're not happy about things. I think there was also a lot of surprise and anger, actually, with the last week or so, when the Prime Minister was saying that actually there'll be one kind of treatment for this demo and one for the Nakba demonstration, because this one was, deployed live facial recognition. That's never been in any manifesto. No one's had a proper debate about it, to monitor people, treating everyone as though they're potential criminals. And also that there would be speech regulation as part of the licence conditions, and people would be held accountable. And people were banned from coming to Britain, one of which is an elected MEP from Poland. And so the idea that, on the one hand, the Prime Minister says we have a rich tradition of free speech, and we've seen in the last couple of years huge concerns with two-tier policing, with people being arrested for social media posts. We see that there's still many people continually that are arrested, not just non-crime hate incidents. They say in London the Met Police are not going to do that anymore, but for what people are saying. And yet our Prime Minister says we have a proud tradition of free speech. And people have felt that they've not been able to say things and speak about these things, and just be proud about being British and flying the flags without being treated with contempt. So that's the kind of general spirit I found. I asked people what they thought about terms like being called far right and racist, and many of them just were very incredulous. They mocked it. They a lot of good British humour. People treated it a lot of humour. I didn't see any hatred. I didn't see people going on about terrible things. I didn't see any people behaving aggressively or violently. And I went right through the demo from the start. I was there from quite early in the morning, and then at King's Cross, talking to people right the way through the demo, and then through Whitehall and to Parliament Square.
It is interesting that, I mean, we have to admit, I think there were some fairly inflammatory messages coming from both sets of stages. But on the whole, the people certainly at the United Kingdom march, it seemed, as you say, like a festival atmosphere, where we heard some real horrors on the Nakba rally, including that Tommy Robinson should be shot in the neck like Charlie Kirk was, which is deeply offensive. Also talking about our hanging Jews and, the usual, from the river to the sea, jihad, etc., etc. But the one thing I wanted to ask you, Alan, the day before the marches, Keir Starmer issued that video, that lovely soft-focus video, saying sort of like, we're facing a battle for the nation's soul, implying that, as you've rightly said, people to do with the United Kingdom rally were far-right, thugs, racist, all the usual terms. Why didn't he make a video warning about the far-left hate marches? Why just signal one side out?
I think it's become really apparent that Keir Starmer and the government have got a different opinion about people that believe in being patriotic, flying the flag. We've seen this for some time. We saw it back with Emily Thornberry when she talked about those people with white vans displaying their flags. And we saw it at Labour Party conference where millions of people were called racist. And you got a situation where there's a deep, not just distrust, but I think contempt for the British public from the Labour Party. Labour that has lost its relationship with the working class and now loathes and fears it and treats it as though everyone's kind of mad, bad and dangerous, not to be trusted, almost immediately going to be turning into these savage-like gammons who are all racist. And it's really deeply offensive. And at the same time, they share some of the sentiments that we see being displayed on those other demonstrations and marches. There's a kind of self-loathing about everything that Britain's ever done, it seems, and we've seen it in the academy and universities in our schools, that, you know, Britain has only really raped and pillaged and has got nothing to be proud of. And anyone who wants to talk about a heritage or culture and tradition is somehow dubious. And actually, this runs in stark contrast to the British public, who understandably are very proud about the great achievements of Britain and England and Scotland and the Enlightenment, obviously going back to Magna Carta, the Civil War, Parliament, all the things that Britain gave to the world, free expression, free speech. And it's just so ironic that he's clamping down on those things while saying that he's fighting for the soul.
Alan, unfortunately, we have run out of time with you, unfortunately. But thank you so much for joining us today. That's founder of the Together Association, Alan Miller. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alan. OK, now, joining me now is counter-extremism practitioner, former Islamist, Soho Ahmed. Soho, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you also went on the Unite the Kingdom march yesterday. Tell us what you experienced.
So I didn't know what to expect fully. I expected some hostility, maybe. I was there with a friend of mine who also looks similar to me, is from a Muslim background. And much to my surprise, I experienced no hostility whatsoever. Not even a single kind of dirty look, not even any kind of uncomfortable experience whatsoever. In fact, I spoke to a lot of people at the march, and we got along quite well. Most people there were incredibly friendly. In fact, I was much surprised about how reasonable many of the people there were. I spoke to a kind gentleman who was actually surprisingly pro-immigration. He said he's more than happy with immigration. He's happy that Britain is a cultural melting pot. He just wanted people to integrate. And I said to him, I entirely agree with you. And then I said to him, what if I told you I knew someone who was radicalized and who hated Britain once, and then de-radicalized and now works in counter-extremism and counter-terrorism and loves this country? And he said, oh, that would be quite a journey. I'd really like to meet him. And I said, yeah, you're speaking to him now. And he was very taken aback and very kind of like, oh, wow, it's such an honor to meet you. And I just didn't expect any of that, to be honest.
Sorry to interrupt, Al. Do you mind me asking, what were you expecting and why were you expecting it to be different?
I wasn't expecting too much overt hostility. I've been to a demonstration like this before. I think it was a while back in the Netherlands. I actually spoke to Tommy Robinson one-on-one. But I was kind of expecting maybe some kind of issues, but nothing, not what I expected, not the level of friendliness and acceptance that I experienced. That said, there's a distinction I'd make between the everyday people who were there. And people there were just the people you'd meet in the post office, in like Sainsbury's, and just kind of, you know, at the football match. But I'd make a distinction between them and the people who were organizing the rally and the people who were kind of speaking and addressing the rally. Because on the one hand, the people attending the rally were very reasonable, very moderate, very kind, very just outward looking. But on the other, it seemed to me that the organizers of the rally and the people speaking to the rally were kind of using calculated language at points, designed to incite, and sometimes were kind of engaging in outright fabrications. And it's important to note that you might think, well, you know, those people were normal, you know, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But you have to remember that when it comes to group psychology, when there's so many people together, there's a big difference between the individuals who make up that group and what the group then becomes. Because when people are in a protest, their kind of social inhibitions go down. They kind of get caught up in it all. The person becomes the group and the group becomes the person. And in those situations, as has been shown countless times before, And has been shown and has been studied by psychologists and sociologists extensively, protesters, peaceful protesters, people with no criminal background whatsoever, can, in a few minutes, go from completely peaceful to just rioting. And that's kind of what I was concerned about. Thankfully, that did not happen. But in all, my experience here, and I say I'm a liberal, it makes me very uncomfortable even saying this, which kind of makes me wonder, am I somewhat biased? But honestly, on the whole, my experience was very positive in that rally. And honestly, the politicians really need to listen. People like me who are working in counter-extremism, who are kind of, part of the establishment, so to speak, people who are in the center, we need to stop being so arrogant and just going, oh, those working class people, oh yeah, they're just racists. Frankly, what I think, and forgive me for saying this, I think there's a bit too much of this element of, I'll just be blunt, white guilt in this country because of our history with colonialism. And I understand that, things were, past wrongs were done, right? My ancestors were mistreated, right? By your ancestors. But then there's a point at which it goes a bit over the top and it turns into this self-flagellation. And it's almost like people begin to hate themselves and they're ashamed to be British. And I'm always looking at them thinking, I was an Islamist. I hated this country. Do you not realize what you have? What you have is incredibly precious. The rights that you have, the democracy we have. And yes, we still do have largely free speech, even though that's starting to come under attack, in my opinion. But the Enlightenment values this country developed. I mean, the modern world is a product of Britain. We invented the modern world.
Okay,
I think we should be incredibly proud of that.
So let's finish it there, because I think that's a very nice sentiment, and we should be incredibly proud. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's our counter-extremism practitioner, former Islamist Sohail Ahmed there. Let me know what you think. I think he made a lot of very interesting points, and he's been there. He was an Islamist. He hated this country. He hated us. Now he's turned the corner and he wants to educate, certainly the politicians, I think, is what he's talking about there. When you've got a Prime Minister saying we're facing a battle for the nation's soul and implying that people in the United Kingdom were far-right racist thugs. Let me know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
What we want to see is more law enforcement on the beaches of France. That is a choice that we want to see made and we are willing to invest in.
OK, in the least shocking news of the day, well, that was the Home Secretary 3 weeks ago, obviously. Now, French politicians have admitted that the £660 million UK-funded deal will make absolutely hardly any difference at all, saying they have no solution to stop the migrant boat crossings. Well, colour me shocked, not sure about you. But after the break, Wes Streeting ramps up the pressure on Keir Starmer, calling Brexit a catastrophic mistake as he positions himself for a potential leadership contest. All of that and much, much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel, #1 news channel. See you soon.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company. It's really lovely to have you along on a Sunday lunchtime. There's loads to be doing. But if you are out on a bike, by the way, we are on the radio, so don't forget that one. OK, now let's talk politics. But we're going to do it with a bit of a wiggle and a bit of a giggle. Wes Streeting has fired the starting gun on a potential Labour leadership contest, confirming he will stand to replace Sir Keir Starmer.
We need a proper contest with the best candidates on the field, and I'll be standing.
Yep, the former Health Secretary has put Europe back at the centre of Labour's agenda, calling Brexit a catastrophic mistake.
The biggest economic opportunity we have is on our doorstep. We need a new special relationship with the EU because Britain's future lies with Europe and one day, back in the European Union.
And he's not alone. Allies of Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Manchester, say he also wants Britain to rejoin the EU, reopening Labour's Brexit divide as the battle for the party's future intensifies. Meanwhile, the rest were just banging our heads against the nearest hard object. In my case, it was the table. GB News political editor and Strictly Come Dancing contender very soon. Christopher Hope joins us now. Christopher, not only is he dancing today, but he's smouldering down the camera, we've noticed. See, well, look at that. Come on, get him on the camera. Look, smoulder. Have a smoulder. I mean, look at that. And for those of you...
You know how it is.
See, it's... Are they looking for a new Bond?
I don't know what to...
They are looking, auditioning for a new Bond.
The world is, this government is rotting.
I'd rather talk about your
Let's talk about politics.
No.
Say, I mean, there were two worlds colliding.
Go on.
There were two worlds colliding, Dawn. As you know, we've got Sir Keir Starmer. He is the Prime Minister. Let's keep saying that because he is, and we need to assert that. He is, we think, in checkers. Reports this lunchtime that he's weighing up how to engineer an exit. His friends, according to allies in The Observer, Tom Baldwin, his biographer, saying that few of his friends now think he can last till the election. If that's the case, when do you bail out? Not too near the election, so do you go sooner, and do you try and set the timescale? So you say, I'll go at the autumn conference, for example, but that, of course, presupposes the result of this by-election in Makerfield. And that's the whole conversation too. That's the second world colliding in Westminster, away from all the world of what the government's doing to the politics of what's happening. And that's what's so fascinating. Andy Burnham, he's the Mayor of Greater Manchester. He wants to win that seat. He hasn't yet been selected by the National Executive Committee, and the date hasn't been set for this by-election. It could be the 18th or 25th of June. But he has been talking a bit about Brexit.
Are you in favour of rejoining the European Union?
I've said in the long term there is a case for that, but I'm not advocating that in this by-election. In fact, what I am saying is focus now domestically. Britain has got to focus very much on the here and now.
That's Andy Burnham saying he doesn't want to talk about Brexit, but he does want to rejoin the EU at some point in the future. Why is he saying that? Because Wes Streeting raised it yesterday in a Labour conference, talking about the fact that he would say let's re-enter the European Union. That goes against the red line set out by the Labour Party in July 2024. He's saying that because Andy Burnham's trying to pitch to a very Brexity audience. 2/3 of the Makerfield voters voted to leave the European Union back in 2016, so he knows that it puts Burnham in a difficult position, appeal to those voters and then tack towards Remain, which is where the membership are of the Labour Party, and then he'll be accused of flip-flopping. Lisa Nandy, the Labour MP for Wigan and the Culture Secretary, doesn't know why Brexit has come up again.
I watched what Wes had to say quite carefully yesterday, and he's a friend of mine and deserves to be taken seriously. But I think it is a bit odd to respond to the absolute roar of noise that we heard last Thursday. We got an absolute kicking at the polls, and it hurt, and it still hurts. And to respond to that with re-entering the European Union seems to me to be a fundamental misreading of what people are asking us for.
Lisa, well, some would agree with that, by the way. Why reignite the Brexit debate of 2016?
Yeah.
Of course, the irony is that the vote was on the 23rd of June 2016, and this by-election could be the 25th of June 2026. And what will happen if this goes ahead, if Burnham wins and wins a Brexity seat as a Remainer, that will empower, I think, Labour to do more to unpick the Brexit result.
So he's going to be like a superhero then, isn't he? Because he's wrestled it away from the Brexit supporters and he can take on the world.
Well, yes, yes.
Can I just wave? I mean, you've seen this, obviously, Chubb, but I'll just wave this at the camera, right? Yeah. OK. This is the front page of the Sunday Mirror today, which I've got obviously it's a Labour-leaning title. Andy Burnham exclusive, how I would change Britain. Mate, you haven't even won the by-election yet.
No, he's got a new name for his campaign there, hasn't he, Dawn?
Oh, God, yeah, what is that? Hold on, let me...
If you turn over, you'll see it there.
It's too small to wave at the camera. There's a little bit at the top there.
But that goes into the heart of where Andy Burnham...
Vote Andy for us. I mean, it's a little bit get over yourself, mate. I'm sorry.
Well, it goes to the heart of what Andy Burnham is about. So he's trying to say, I believe, in what they called Manchesterism. This, apparently, according to The Guardian, is a politics of making people feel rooted and invested in their local areas, which, to me, is the same as localism, which is the ism which Boris Johnson tied himself to. That may not be surprising, because in many ways, Burnham to Labour is what Johnson was to the Tories. He's a Metro mayor. He's done pretty well at transport and police, which is what Boris Johnson did in London, but he's untested running a country. But that's what it looks like the vote will be about. And it's going to be a by-election unlike any we have seen. Anything I've covered in 25 years doing this.
Exactly. 25 years? You started when you were 12. Mr. Hope.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, just talk amongst yourself for a while. Christopher Hope, thank you so much. I love making Christopher Hope blush. It's really, really good fun. Just a quick wiggle. Bangaranga, bangaranga. I mean, come on, what's not to like?
What am I doing this for?
I've got no idea either.
I'm a serious person, Dawn.
You are serious. He's interviewed politicians and prime ministers and things. So have I, by the way, but what the hell. Thank you, Christopher Hope, as always. OK, now let's talk to former leader of UKIP and vested interest in Brexit here, Neil Hamilton. Neil, good to see you. Always good to have a chat with you. What do you make of what you've heard from our Andy Burnham, Wes Streeting, Lisa Nandy, Uncle Tom Cobley? What do you make of it all so far?
Well, the Labour Party has never accepted the result of the Brexit referendum 10 years ago, and they've wiggled and squirmed, and they've done their best since Starmer became Prime Minister to take us back into the EU in form, and not in legal form, but in actuality. You know, there's a bill in the King's Speech which is going to make dynamic alignment of EU law in the United Kingdom. So, you know, we don't get a voice in making laws in Brussels, but they'll be imposed upon us. That's what the British government is doing under Starmer. And they don't, as Lisa Nandy said this morning, you know, Wes Streeting just doesn't read the room. And the white working class overwhelmingly reject the Labour Party today. And one of the reasons they reject it is because they talk down to them about Brexit, you know, that they're too thick and stupid to understand what's good for them. Therefore, we, the clever technocrats in London, do know what's best for you, so get on with it. Hence, we had this massive rejection of the EU in red wall constituencies. 10 years ago, and indeed in subsequent parliamentary and local elections. So I think Labour are on a course for disaster if Brexit wars start again. I'm very happy to carry on fighting for Brexit because no British government has actually delivered Brexit yet properly.
But Neil, I mean, the latest polls all say that Andy Burnham is one of the most popular politicians in this country. He beats Kemi Badenoch, he beats Nigel Farage, he certainly obviously beats Keir Starmer. I mean, there is a chance that all of this could actually happen. And we know that he is an arch Remainer. He might be pretending a little bit now to put all that down the future. But at the moment, he's saying, well, I'm not talking about that now, but I will talk about it in the future. And we know he's an arch Brexit Remainer. So, I mean, this could actually be happening.
Well, this is the high point of his popularity, of course, where he's almost completely unknown, except by his own PR machine, as far as the rest of the country is concerned. He's untested, as you were saying a moment ago, on almost everything apart from police in Manchester and transport. And transport has not been a great example of success in Manchester either. He's got this huge B scheme, which has been excessively delayed and cost a huge amount of money. What we do know about Burnham is that he thinks that the international financial markets just need to get on and keep on lending us money as though it's going out of fashion. And so I think when people start focusing on the real Andy Burnham, if anybody can tell us what the real Andy Burnham is, because he was a Blairite under Blair, Brownite under Brown, he was a Corbynite under Corbyn, and a Starmerite under Starmer. So maybe there is no real Andy Burnham at all. And that vacuum at the heart of British politics is what is going to be exposed in the hard light of the election machine over the next few weeks. And then if he wins, I hope he doesn't, but if he does win and becomes Prime Minister, he'll be in exactly the same position as Starmer was. He'll have got into office and have no idea what to do.
OK, Neil, interesting times ahead for all of us. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's former leader of UKIP, Neil Hamilton, there for you. Blimey, what a day, eh? I'm Dawn Neeson, this is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. We're talking about Le French now. Yep, they've admitted that £660 million money we bunged them to stop the boats coming across isn't going to work because they haven't got a solution. Who'd have thought it, eh? All of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News of Britain's news channel, I can't even say, Chamble. I quite like that, Chamble. Anyway, it's the #1 news channel. #1. We'll see you very soon.
Hello. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's still rather cool out there with frequent showers moving through, but there are signs of it warming up as we head through next week. Now, having a look at the bigger picture, we've got this area of low pressure to the north of Scotland, and this weather front is very slow moving, only gradually pushing its way northwards. Otherwise, westerly winds drawing in showers. So across the north of Scotland into Orkney, that's where we have longer spells of rain. Otherwise, most frequent showers affecting Scotland and Northern Ireland, still on the heavy side, perhaps with the odd rumble of thunder, and that couldn't be ruled out even across central parts of England. Brighter spells developing later on, but otherwise it is still rather cool for the time of year. 13 in the north, highs of 17 to the far southeast. As we go through Sunday evening, those showers persisting across much of Scotland, still holding on to some outbreaks of rain across Orkney and pushing into Shetland. Most frequent showers still persisting across Northern Ireland, perhaps even merging to give some longer spells of rain. And that's a similar story as we go through this evening across much of England and Wales. As we head through Sunday evening, those showers emerging into longer spells of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to progress their way eastwards, so turning damp and unsettled overnight across northwestern parts of England into Wales and the southwest of England. Some of this rain could actually turn quite heavy. Towards the east, that's where we hold on to the clearest skies, and across Scotland and Northern Ireland, depending on the cloud cover, we could see a touch of frost, but also some mist and fog to start Monday morning. That does leave a bright start across the east of England, but to the west, we have the showery outbreak of rain pushing its way eastwards, eventually into the Midlands. Then it breaks up, and we'll see more showers developing across Scotland later, drier across Northern Ireland, hazier sunshine coming through, but still rather cool for the time of year, highs of 16 in the south.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company. Loving it today and loving all your messages. I'm aware that I haven't read that many out, but I will do. But come on, let's be honest. We've all been distracted slightly by choppers wiggling, haven't we? OK, now let's talk about the French, because at some point every day we absolutely have to. This time round, the French officials have admitted that, you know, that £660 million UK-funded deal, that bung we gave them, to tackle the small boat crossings is unlikely to make any difference whatsoever. The agreement aims to deploy at least 50 riot-trained officers on northern French beaches and increase coastal security. But French leaders have reportedly conceded they still have no solution to stop the migrants crossing the channel in those small boats. So let's talk to... They're spoiling me today. Another favourite person to talk to is a human rights lawyer, David Hay, but it's one of the good ones, so don't go too far. David, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. David, what do you make of this story? The French have admitted, no, we can't do it, we're a bit rubbish.
It's a good afternoon, Dawn. I mean, I don't want to annoy all your viewers again, but I mean, you know, we're looking forward to a summer of despair, I think, when it comes to this. I mean, I mentioned before that this wouldn't work. You've got you've hundreds of miles of coast in France, and you literally can't. You move the people from one area, the migrants, they'll go to another, and we knew that. And now the French politicians, and it's not the ones in lofty positions in Paris, it's the French politicians on the ground. They're saying this won't work. It's a waste of money. So that's really damning stuff. Add that to the fact of the political uncertainty that we now have in the UK as to who will be in charge. I think it's a summer of despair, and certainly fantastic advertising for the people smugglers.
I think you're so right to point that out, David, that this isn't the people in charge, this isn't the ministers, this is the ordinary politicians who are echoing what ordinary French people are saying, what ordinary British people are saying. This is not going to work. But, David, I think the total we're up to now, giving the French to sort this problem, it's going to be close to £1 billion altogether.
It's utterly absurd, Dawn. I mean, it was always going to have an insignificant impact on the numbers. And as I said before, fixing the problem that we have with people coming across the channel and illegal immigrants and migration in general is a medium to long-term solution. And now, again, with problems with governments and leaders and who will be the Prime Minister or who may not be the Prime Minister or who might be the Home Secretary, where is any medium to long-term solution to this? It's up in the air again. And so I think it's, it for me isn't surprising, because it's not on its own ever going to fix the problem. But now, where are the solutions if we don't know who's going to be running the country at the end of the summer?
So, David, is this all basically... I mean, I think that our politicians at the moment, I can talk to you like this, I think they're treating us like mushrooms. I think they are just saying stuff that they think are going to make us happy for a while, but thinking that we're so stupid we're not actually going to see through it. But we kind of are, aren't we?
I think you're right, Dawn. I think it's great that people are now seeing through it, because, we saw this in the dying days of the Conservative government, lots and lots of, kind of press release driven policies to appease people before an election. And it's really good to see now that people are kind of, holding on to what the misinformation that the government is putting out. This is an awful lot of money spent on a policy which even the French politicians on the ground are now saying is pointless. So if they're saying it's pointless, why are our leaders not actually addressing the issue?
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they finally did listen, wouldn't it? David, thank you so much. Voice of common sense, human rights lawyer David Hay. We will be going back to David throughout the summer for an update on how much more we've bunged the French. David, thank you so much. Have a lovely Sunday afternoon. OK, let us know what you think. I mean, the French are being honest, aren't they? Now, GB News have obviously reached out to the Home Office and will bring you that response when we have it. I mean, the Home Office are a little bit sort of like busy at the moment as well. Data reveals that crossings so far this year are tracking at a lower level than previous years. There has been a 36% drop compared to the same point last year and a 16% decrease from 2 years ago. But previously, a Home Office spokesperson has said, this government is bearing down on small boat crossings. We have removed or deported almost 60,000 people who were here illegally. The Home Secretary has announced the most sweeping reforms to tackle illegal immigration in modern times, removing the incentives that bring illegal migrants to the UK and scaling up the return of those with no right to be here. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. Spanish legend Xabi Alonso has confirmed the new Chelsea manager on a long-term contract, hoping to lead the club back to contention among the biggest honours in the game. But if you are in search of some holiday sun, well, here's the forecast for those top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Plenty of settled weather over the coming days for much of Europe as generally high pressure builds. Sunny spells across the Canaries through the rest of the weekend into Monday. On the sunny side and dry across much of Spain and Portugal. Showers, though, some of these heavy across France, northern Italy, but drier further south and across into Greece and Turkey as well. Temperatures rising 25, 26 Celsius. Plenty of sunshine to come over the coming days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Neil, my partner, I don't drive anymore, but my partner Neil was driving, and we'd been to have a manicure and a pedicure, which one always does on a particular day, and we were coming back home, and we would turn the corner onto a busy road, which is a dual carriageway near the Tower of London, and Neil suddenly stopped behind a car, which was letting some people off into a hotel. And then I said, move, because the car moved in front. And Neil said, it's dead. There's nothing happening. And the whole car just sort of stopped. And I tried to open the door, and I couldn't open the door. I tried to open the window, couldn't open the window. We couldn't do the hazard lights. And cars were zooming down this road at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now, it was a 20-mile-an-hour limit to this road, which is important, because Neil rang the insurance. The insurance gave the RAC the number, and we then communicated with them. And this was at 5:45 in the evening. And they said, we'll be with you between 12 and 2 a.m. So we panicked. There was a terrible panic because cars were zooming down, moving out into the road to not bump into us. And I was really panicking. And what happened next was that when we decided we couldn't get out, I then rang the police. Now, the police, I spoke to this girl, and this police girl said, no, we can't come and collect you, I'm afraid. I said, I'm terrified. And she said, no, sorry, we can't come and collect you. It was just so frustrating.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm going to make everyone dance. Can you do Bangaranga?
No, I just I do body popping.
See? I mean, can we get the camera on Aidan? I mean, come on.
How about that?
Come on, what's not to like about the people I'm working with? That's wow.
Do you think I'm good?
That's really...
Yeah?
Welcome back to the weekend. I'm Dawn Neeson. Here's Aidan McGee, and he is, as always, here to talk about football, sport. It's not all about football, John. There are other sports, honestly. Sorry
well, it is today.
Freudian slip. Anyway, Aidan.
It is today just because it's a crucial time of the season, isn't it? And Chelsea have certainly reacted to yesterday's FA Cup final defeat, which we'll come on to in a moment, in quite a spectacular way. They've made a splash, and that's the appointment of Xabi Alonso on a 4-year deal. Now, lots of ways you can look at this, Dawn, because he was a very celebrated Liverpool player 20 years ago, wasn't he? Part of the Miracle of Istanbul in 2005, part of the team that beat West Ham the following year in the FA Cup, of course, and he looked for all the world as if he was going to be heading to Anfield. Now, I don't know whether it's a case of Liverpool being caught ball-watching again. The board seems to be very inert at the moment. They didn't sign Antoine Semenyo last summer when they had the chance, or in January he went to Manchester City, scored the winning goal yesterday. Mark Guehi also in the side yesterday for Man City. They should have had him wrapped up. They didn't get it done. Of course, they did sign players last summer. Guehi, interesting fact, by the way, while I remember it, he was in the Crystal Palace side that were beaten by Macclesfield in January. But you can't be cup-tied anymore.
Oh,
Can't be cup-tied anymore. His last game for Palace was a defeat against Macclesfield. He plays in the FA Cup final yesterday. That's an aside, albeit a very interesting one. You've got your hat there. What's that for?
Carry on talking.
Sorry, you just distracted me.
Carry on talking.
Sorry. So Alonso gets the job on a 4-year basis. Now, interestingly, he's been appointed as manager. That, to me, says that they acknowledge that previous appointments, recent appointments, where they've been called the head coach, have suggested that they're not going to be in charge, or those managers were not in charge. In fact, we know they weren't in charge of player recruitment. Recruitment has been a huge problem. There's not enough experience in the squad. You can see that on the pitch yesterday. Although they did give themselves a reasonable chance yesterday. They had a few penalty shouts waved away. I felt they gave a decent account of themselves without the game being a classic. But it suggests to me that Alonso has gone in there, having built up a good body of work at Bayer Leverkusen, who were known as Neverkusen because they never won any trophies. He had a very short spell at Real Madrid. Everyone fails at Real Madrid apart from just 2 or 3 people down in the last few years, and especially if they're there for a short period of time. His stock is still high. Real Madrid, I think, gave some counsel to Chelsea and said that he was worth appointing, and that's where we're going to go from here. I think he's going to be in charge of signing players, and the Chelsea fans will be hoping there'll be better times ahead.
Will they beat Spurs?
I think they will, yeah.
Excellent. That's all I need to hear. Thank you very much. Right, OK, well, he's been Aidan McGee. I've been Dawn Neeson.
It was a dance.
Right.
Dance.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't go anywhere. Nana's up next. I'll see you at breakfast tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Dawn. What a very fetching hat. Ghastly. Listen, so much to talk about today. Look, are we actually better off with Keir Starmer? I mean, take a look at it. Andy Burnham says he's going to go gung-ho. We're going to end up at Brexit again, but they're going to overturn it. Then you've also got Wes Streeting saying that he's going to overturn Brexit. He thinks it's an absolute mistake. What's going on? Also, I want to have a look at the aftermath of the Unite the Kingdom rally. Keir Starmer warned us of the far right. He made that it would be terrible. But what was it like? I was there. It was very calm. In fact, the only problem was the other rally. That's in my niggle. That's coming up after your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good afternoon and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have showers and longer spells of rain as we head into the new week. Initially cool, but it does look like there's signs of things warming up. So out there at the moment, we have got the low pressure situated to the north, bringing this slow-moving weather front, and then westerly winds drawing in further showers as we go through this evening and overnight. That band of rain will continue to clear its way northwards across Orkney and Shetland. Otherwise, for most of us, it's a showery picture. More longer spells of rain initially across Northern Ireland into northwestern England, then running down into Wales and the southwest. Some of this rain could be heavy at times. Clearest and driest conditions to the east, and across Scotland and Northern Ireland, if we see any clear skies, that's where temperatures could fall. A touch of frost possible, but also a few mist and fog patches. So to start Monday morning, it's a much brighter start out there across northern parts of Scotland with plenty of sunshine. To the south of that, though, showery outbreaks of rain. Across Northern Ireland, some brightness further towards the south and west, but a few showers here. Otherwise, across much of England and Wales, especially western areas, that's where we have showery outbreaks of rain, a bright but fresh start in the east. As we head through the morning, this band of rain will continue to push its way eastwards. It breaks up and then we'll start to see more showers developing as we head through the afternoon, even into parts of Scotland, turning drier across Northern Ireland, but hazy sunshine ahead of the next frontal system. Temperatures ranging from up to 14 to possibly 16 or 17 in the south and east. So we'll see showers continuing as we go through Monday evening. They'll start pushing their way north and eastwards and then replaced by wet and windy conditions as we go overnight and into Tuesday. So outbreaks of rain for some of us, followed by showers, similar theme onto Wednesday, but otherwise temperatures will be rising.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.